a clean finish.
It's
Like
very
you
good.
literally cover your tongue and it's just. You're welcome.
Hey, we made it under the hour mark, though.
Yeah, man. Oh, well, look at that.
That
Right
was
on the
a great
button.
conversation. That was a great episode. I'm very happy.
I
with
feel
that
good
one.
about that one.
Just
Yeah,
the tips. Hey, that should be the name of the section. Just the tips.
Why? Why? It makes no sense. Hello and welcome to Happy Hour, the weekly game and tech news podcast you will find here on the Strange Gaming Network. I am one of your hosts, Brent Metcalf, along to my right.
Ooh, handsome John.
Handsome John, very vocal today. I like it.
Yeah, I like it.
And over on the other side of the room.
The dispatcher, Mark Clover.
Oh, he's vocal too. This is great, guys.
I'm feeling good.
We just wanted to introduce ourselves and, of course, the important guest here tonight. What are we drinking, John?
Oh, this is Taylor Fladgate. This is a port wine. It's a dessert wine. It is fitting since we just got done eating dinner, and it is delicioso. What do you guys think?
It is very, very tasty.
It's very good, yes.
This is a 10-year, right?
Yes, this is a 10-year. We'll be having the 20-year here shortly to taste the difference. This is a $30 bottle of wine. This was $45. I'm really interested to see what the $15 dollar price point is.
Yeah.
Obviously, we will not drink one whole. Well, we might drink this entire bottle, and then we'll move into tasting this. This is going to go into private reserves if we don't finish it, which I hope we don't, just so I can get home. And then, just gonna do whatever.
Yeah, change it up every now and then. We have been
of course.
drinking a lot of whiskey, so.
Oh man, I
little
can't. I can drink
wine.
all the whiskey in the world, so I'm fine with that. But at the same time, it is good to have a variety, a repertoire of
Exactly.
sorts,
A repertoire.
Ooh, yeah.
It's always important to know
Tingling tongues.
what tastes good on your tingling tongue.
Yeah.
But there's other important things in the world.
Is there?
That is known as
The important
shit. First up, we're going to the dispatcher to talk about Facebook with not one, but two stories.
Not Facebook, but it's Apple.
Ah, yeah, Facebook.
Well, Facebook's
in there.
involved.
Come on.
In one of them.
Come on.
Is it one of them? Yeah, whatever. Screw it.
It's in both.
Yeah,
All right. I mean, there's face in one of them. I'll give
Exactly.
I was
see?
calling it Google earlier, so whatever.
you that. All right. So the first one, and this is probably the most notable one of like the past week or so, has been the FaceTime bug that allows you
Yeah.
to listen in on other people's phones without them realizing it.
Yeah.
So you can't just stop having sex right beforehand. You
Right.
actually stop about 10 seconds.
What?
What?
You're like, hold on, honey, I gotta get this.
Okay. Okay. Anyway, what happened?
And the show is derailed 2 minutes in. Let us move forward.
Anyway, so it's a bug with the group FaceTime calling feature that if you add yourself in on a FaceTime call with somebody else, it opens the line up on their device and you can listen in without them having even answered the call. Even if they decline it, you can continue to listen, apparently, after like the app has disappeared and everything.
Seems like a minor problem.
Sounds like how Apple's
Just
been
does
listening and selling all our information for like Amazon to tell us what we want to buy.
You signed the user agreement.
Oh, I'm sorry. Actually,
Doesn't mean I
it's
like it.
it's the specifically declining with the power button to turn the screen off.
Ah.
So as soon as you do that, apparently, like the audio opens up as if you answered, and you're listening to the other person, but they can't hear you because technically they declined it. It's
How'd they figure that out?
some small
The 12-year-old.
yeah it was like a 12-year-old kid or whatever who I guess just happened to do it. He added himself and made a call to somebody, and they just happened to hit the button or whatever, and he realized I can hear you, and then he could just hear conversations happening in the background.
Yeah, no joke. I think he was trying to FaceTime his friend to play Fortnite, and the friend just did that, and all of a sudden he could hear everything. And he actually told his mom about it, and they both tried to contact Apple for over a week.
Yeah, the dad eventually posted on Twitter.
Oh,
And-
then
and-
they paid attention.
And then Apple was like, "Oh, this is public now. Oh, all right, we need to figure this out." But no, I think it's funny to me that it takes a kid like that to figure it out or to find the bug like this. Immediately after it happened,
Don't pull so hard.
immediately. I can't.
It's to prevent further noises.
Anyway,
How did that even get down there?
You'll have to use your imagination, viewer. So 12-year-old kid,
Anyway.
dad gets on Twitter.
Yeah,
starts,
dad gets on
shouting
Twitter.
out.
Yeah, posted, and Apple finally figures it out. Finally realizes what happened, and they actually shut down.
They figured out
the group FaceTime.
WhatsApp.
That was so bad. Why?
I tried so hard not to laugh at that, but this is bad. Oh my god.
Anyways.
I want to laugh, but I don't want to support you in this. Anyway, I just find it funny that it took a 12-year-old kid just happening to toy around with this to figure this out, that their testing team, not necessarily that like somebody didn't discover this in testing, because that's kind of a really rare specific case, but somebody in the programming department say, hey, by the way, there's a weird loophole here, you know, like usually somebody in software development goes,
Well, something like that you would have had to have tested, like, you know, to ignore, like you hit the.
well, adding yourself to a group FaceTime in the FaceTime call in the first place, like
I think what's a little scary is their like the reaction that the parents were getting when they're trying to contact them. Is like, hey, there's an actual problem here. I understand they have literally billions of clients now.
yeah,
You know, like there's
well,
tons
they
of-
probably get a ton of people who are like, hey, there's a security hole here, but there's not really.
I
you know?
can't
feel like
get
there should
my
be
phone,
some
help me.
sort of filtration system here of like, hey, this one account, like this one family group has called multiple times.
Yep.
There's something here.
Well, to be fair, we don't know who they called.
Yeah, fair enough.
So if
Yeah,
they
yeah.
called the regional store or whatever, then obviously they're not going to get what they want.
Can we get Bill Gates
but
on
even
the
their-
line, please?
But even their tech support, you know,
Why
is not
Bill
gonna,
Gates?
really
Why?
listen to that kind of stuff.
No,
up front,
no,
so.
they don't. They're not going to.
What's wrong with you? Bill Gates?
Shh. Keep going.
Anyway, so that was
The second Facebook story. Yes.
second. Yes, Apple story. Yes, second Apple story. This one's kind of a big deal. Facebook and Google within 2 days span both had their certificates revoked, their app certificates revoked. So I want to, I guess, really press what this means from Apple's device perspective. If they revoke your certificate, your app doesn't launch after it's installed on the device.
Literally, if it's already on the device, it won't turn
Right,
on. Okay.
exactly. If they revoke their certificate, it gets propagated out to every single device, and your app doesn't launch, and that's it. Like your entire suite, like Google's entire suite of apps, stopped working. The reason that Apple decided to revoke their certificate is because they were actually violating the terms of service, where it says that the certificates that they give to large enterprise companies such as banks, Google, Facebook, things like that, that allow you to publish and put on devices and things like that without limitation, is that you don't distribute it to your customers that way. The reason is because you're technically bypassing the App Store and your analytics and all of that other stuff that comes with that, including the ability for Apple to skim some prices off of things, or some of the money off of things, if that's the case. So what they were doing is they were caught distributing apps in different ways, you know, that kind of thing, to their consumers, and allowing them to sideload apps, because that's one of the features of the certificate, is that you don't have to go through the App Store for it. So Google or Apple says to Facebook first, detects this and says, yep, we're going to yank that real quick. Apple said, okay, all right, we'll go into compliance, and they shut it down, that kind of thing. And they had to go through this whole big deal, I guess, for like the next day or so. The nice thing is about big companies like that is they have on-site, like Apple people. I only know that because of my current employer, kind of thing. They like on-site people to deal with things like within a day, kind of thing, or within a couple of hours. So the certificates were, you know, reinstated, that kind of thing. It just meant that for the span of a couple of hours anyway, Facebook's apps and Google's apps were not working.
Gotcha.
Which includes, yes, WhatsApp.
So does that mean currently, or are they back up and running?
Oh,
now?
no, they're back up and running now. Everything seems to be functioning correctly. The Apple just kind of wanted to, I guess, give them a nice deep shot over the bow, except it was, you know, kind of in the side of the hull to say.
Wasn't there some like really shady mining stuff going on with Facebook with that?
No. So the shady part was that they were trying to ask you to install other applications anyway. And Facebook's done stuff like this before, where they actually monitor your traffic and your phone usage by asking you to install an app that is not Facebook, and is technically not related to Facebook, but is built by Facebook's creators. That specifically monitors through an advertising thing what you're doing on your phone. To return the data to Facebook, even though it's not Facebook.
Well, not only that, but that would also make encrypted things not encrypted anymore, like WhatsApp.
Right.
I mean, that would be...
I mean, I already don't trust Facebook with WhatsApp as it is. But,
Well,
and their
I know.
encryption, but it's encryption, but whatever. No, it's still shady stuff. Apple, I think, was well within their rights to be able to do that. First off, they're the issuer; they can do whatever they want with them. But I think they did it well within their rights, and nobody seems to have any kind of repercussions from this. All the comments are very much like, "Wow, you guys really did some weird stuff here. You really shouldn't have done that," kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, public was definitely in support of that.
Interesting.
I mean, they're also tired of getting, they're losing millions of dollars a day. They're just bleeding out. All that.
I hope you're not talking about Apple.
I'm joking.
Please tell me you're not talking about Apple.
It sounds like the apps you were describing, though, would really drain your battery.
Yeah, it would.
It'd be really fortunate if a battery company made cell phones.
You mean like Energizer?
Oh my
my
lord,
God.
what?
That's right. Energizer is making cell phones, particularly smartphones. Now they're putting a lot of cheaper hardware and things to, try to make the phones a little bit better at a price point. However, one big overselling feature, because no phone has this yet, is an 18,000 milliamp hour battery. Because, most external battery packs don't have batteries that big.
Wow.
So the idea is that you can...
Hello? Hi?
Yeah, exactly. It's gonna be a brick like this. But they're working with all kinds of like new tech for phones. Pop-up cameras anyway, so that they can do full edge-to-edge screens, basically. What else was there? Foldable displays, that kind of thing. So they're toying with a lot of different tech to try to work with these phones. Now, like I said, they're putting cheaper hardware in that's comparable, but still is a little cheaper to keep the price point low on these, because they're the new kid on the block, basically. But it's definitely. It definitely looks promising for them. They've got some interesting ideas coming out. The pop-out camera thing is something that people have always been skeptical about, because it's the first motion thing or motorized thing that you'll put in a phone.
Mm-hmm.
Well, motors are known to fail long before solid state
Yep.
technology will, or solid state electronics do. So it's a little bit skeptical there, but
I have to say,
Download it.
there's a guy that does all these like phone stuff where they do durability tests and whatnot. Some guy rigs everything. Does a really good job with it. I don't know why I don't remember his name right now. Probably some help. But anyway, that phone, looking at some of like the examples they were showing, I'm like, dude, that would get destroyed.
Yep.
I do find this interesting. So I assume strictly manufacturing, they're not trying to get into cell phone services.
No.
Yeah. Okay. So they're trying to compete with Samsung.
So is the
and-
battery that expensive that they'd be able to cut the price down so much that they'd be able to be competitive?
That airplane's on our end, in case you're watching.
If they can even hear it.
I don't know. It's
Well,
really
not
loud
that
on our
plane
end. so-
crashing into
I'll
that
find
house
out in a
on
little
Super
while.
Bowl.
Yeah.
There was a plane that fell out of the sky and crashed into a house, or had parts of it crash into a house.
I thought you meant into the literal Super Bowl.
Wow,
I
it probably,
was like,
it probably
whoa.
almost caused as much damage as a train derailing, like the show.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh.
I like that. That was good. So I do find this fascinating, because I feel like somebody like Energizer would like it's more money in the manufacturing of phones than simply creating better cell phone batteries to sell to these giants.
Right. Now, I mean, at this point, these companies all have other companies that they go to for their batteries
Mhm.
and their controllers and things like that, and they all have subcontractors basically that do every single piece of this. So Energizer can come in anyway as being the battery experts, basically, and try to come in with a phone that has, a giant battery on it, and that'll be the selling point.
I mean, if they're, my assumption is running some form of Android, and they've got a better battery than the majority of phones, I'm fine with that, because I like my phone, but I definitely am not up on the newest phone
The
every
hard
time.
Yeah.
the hard part now is coming up with an Android experience that is worth holding on to.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I even did it with this. I swapped from the Razr phone to this because this is a better Android experience.
Yeah.
From a hardware perspective. So unless they can nail that,
Mhm.
I think that the battery is still going to be a hard sell, because realistically, this 4,000 milliamp hour battery that's in this lasts me through an entire day. I mean, I charge it on my bike or in the car on the way to and from work, and honestly, that's enough to last me while I'm at home and while I'm at work, and that's good enough for me.
You'd have to charge it like every 5 days.
Right, basically.
Hope. Yeah. That would be the hope. Yeah.
That'd be
Yeah.
insane.
But I mean, the idea is it's going to be sitting next to you on a nightstand while you're asleep anyway. Most people are like, yeah, I'm just going to plug it in or set it down on wireless charging pad. So
But if you're a guy that plays Pokemon Go,
As
It might be-
consistently as
yeah,
I do.
no,
Your thing.
no. So actually, I didn't even think about that. That would be an interesting one. Is like a lot of people still stream
Mhm.
Pokemon Go while they're out and about,
Oh,
kind
yeah.
of thing. So that could actually be a good device to do that with.
Oh,
That's
absolutely.
an interesting idea.
Because they literally carry like 4 or 5 battery packs on them.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I've seen the people that do it. It's insane.
they have like sun chargers.
Yeah. Bolts or whatever, like the giant, 20,000
Yeah.
milliamp hour bolts with the full AC plug, and the kind you can jump your car with.
There
Oh,
you go.
wow.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Speaking of companies that just seem to keep going and going and going, John, can you talk to us about GameStop?
Well done.
GameStop, unfortunately, is having some issues, guys. They in this
Shocker.
past third quarter, they lost $488.6 million.
Shocker.
Who?
And that's after they sold Spring Mobile for $700 million,
Good
which
Lord.
brings their total loss outside of the sale for $1.2 billion.
Do we know how much they bought Sprint Mobile for?
No, I don't. I don't even know if that was public or not, to be honest.
I'm sure we could find it somewhere, but
I didn't think about it. I don't.
Let
I
us
think
know
it was
in the
actually.
comments about it.
I'm curious
I
to know
think
how
they
much of a
actually
loss that
created
actually
that
was.
company. I don't know if they actually acquired it or not.
I'm pretty sure they did because then they buy it from Cricket.
Ooh, well, they bought Cricket. I don't
And
know.
then
Was
they've
Spring Mobile
spun
attached to
out,
them? Yeah,
I
I think
think.
it was their own brainchild that they were working with AT&T
did.
authorized
Yeah.
They bought Cricket.
as an
They
AT&T
did, yeah.
I
authorized.
didn't know that.
Yeah, pretty crazy. The right now, and it's like 13.8% drop in sales right now in used game equipment. Their hardware sales are through the roof, but they're losing that much money
Yeah.
because people aren't buying used games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is the turn of the burn.
Digital games,
It's
baby.
coming.
Digital games.
And
I mean,
it's going to come fast and swift,
It's-
and everybody's going to cry when it happens.
well, we're seeing an age in which the manufacturers of these pieces of hardware are getting smarter about how they handle the digital properties.
Yeah.
So PlayStation regularly puts on at least one sale a month, if not more. And the couple of literally since November up until this past month, the sales have been on big name titles of like games you'd want to play.
Yep.
And they're not significant, but it's $10 here, $15 there.
Yeah.
And when you're talking about spending $45 in a game compared to $60 that you were kind
yeah.
of on the fence about, you'll totally drop $45 instead.
Yeah.
So
And not to mention, I mean, they've also been making up a lot of the losses from the little knickknacks and stuff that they've
Yeah.
been
Knick-knack,
really pushing.
paddywhack.
Hard.
think geek, baby.
Yeah, buddy. And it's pretty cool stuff. I'm not going to lie. I almost
Yeah.
got you a couple shirts.
You
I
should.
was like, it's really, really crappy materials.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I'd rather go for better materials.
tear it up and make a flag out of it and wave it above my head. While
I'm
we
tired of
record
looking
the
at
podcast.
your crappy shirts that
Mimi
fade.
Q.
I want them to last
Help
forever.
me. They do fade quite a bit.
Pretty harshly. But you know what doesn't fade? That's PlayStation Plus. It keeps on coming,
except
baby.
for a couple of.
But what is fading, unfortunately, this is the last month for Vita and PS3.
Moment of silence, please.
Eh.
Thank you.
Yep. Right now, actually, right now,
Yeah.
today,
As we're recording on Tuesday, which you'll get on Friday-ish, Saturday maybe.
Friday.
Oh, look at
whenever
that!
it feels like
Look
it.
at that. The dispatcher.
You get it when he
working
says
overtime.
so.
His schedule's always Friday.
What's actually really cool about this month, this starting
Mm-hmm.
point is that it's going from 10 gigs of storage, online cloud storage, to 100 gigs.
That is really good.
Which
Now that's neat.
is
Okay.
awesome. Great for saves, being able to travel everywhere. You don't have to work. Like I remember I was deleting saves like crazy because I didn't have enough room. Then they bumped it to 10 and I was like, and now it's like, I don't have to worry about storage at all.
You know what that means soon.
Yep. It's coming. The digital age, they're prepping for it. They know it's here. It's coming.
Yeah.
But for game wise, we got Hitman and For Honor for
Yep.
the PlayStation 4,
Okay.
which is pretty good because For Honor's been doing a lot of DLC and updates that people have been really into.
They're coming into year 2, I think.
Yeah,
of
that sounds
game.
about right.
And they're just continuously.
I was gonna say, is the
putting out more
popularity
content.
still there for it? I know they were. I know they were.
They're working trying to get it back because
I was gonna say because I know they were. Whenever we saw them for E3 or whatever, they were like, "Yeah, we got this, we
Yep.
got that, we got this, we got that." And I was like, "Okay,
Yeah.
this isn't. I didn't think you guys were gonna go siege with this, but okay."
Well, and the one thing that's beautiful about PlayStation Plus is that because they're new games, it's a new month. Anybody who had an inkling of like thinking about it, who has a subscription, just downloads it.
Yeah.
So you see the online play go through the roof for at least the first month.
Okay.
So
Yeah. Also, for the last of it, for the PS3 and for the Vita, which I'm also just really depressed about.
I know
It's a really
it's a terrible
sad ending and not
Yeah.
in the massage kind of sad
yeah.
ending.
It is a going out with a whimper, not a bang.
Yeah, there you go. And then it's got Dive Kick for PS3.
Yeah, which I think is cross by
It is.
Yeah.
It is cross-buy
with all the
with the Vita.
platforms.
Metal Gear Solid 4, Guns of the Patriots, PS3 only.
Such a good game.
Yeah, he's all
I might
about it.
replay that.
I'll have to
Oh,
download it.
you
Oh, wait,
can-
no, I won't because I will never
Why
play
don't you
a Metal
watch
Gear
it?
Solid
We can
game.
we can
Ever.
relive.
Guess what
college.
else I got? 4 too. Guess what I haven't played? Metal Gear Solid 4
5, you mean?
and 4.
4 is coming this month.
I haven't still played it.
Okay, that's good. Do you want to relive our college
Uh,
years and we can hang out and drink and I can play it?
We do that now.
Okay, that's fine. I was trying to
I
have a
literally
sit-
helped you with Final Fantasy.
I know, but I was
9.
trying to have a moment because you watched me play through almost the entirety of Metal Gear Solid 4.
Yeah, That was awesome,
And
dude.
that
One of my favorite characters in it. It's a good game. Don't get me wrong. It's just the play style, the sneakiness is just ain't my thing.
Snake, snake, snake.
No! The Gunhouse for PS Vita is also cross-buy with PS4.
Yeah, Gunhouse actually looks kind of cool.
And Rogue Aces PS Vita also cross-buy with PS4.
Terrible. It's terrible. It's,
Oh, really?
It's a really crappy. Like, I love the Vita, and I understand that the sales are down. Like, I think last month they sold 123 in the US. Like, it's pretty miserable at this point.
But we also see what they're supporting, though.
I know.
And that's PSVR.
That is true.
You look at the sales for PSVR right now. You got Rick and Morty is 50% off. Resident Evil 7 25% off. Borderlands 25% off, and Astrobot 20%
They're
off.
really trying to push it, aren't they?
Oh yeah,
I'm telling
absolutely.
you,
And they're killing it.
We'll come to what PlayStation's doing in the future.
Yeah.
Later in the show.
Yeah,
Yes.
we'll get there. Not to worry. But at the same time, just more evidence to keep in mind for later. It is sad to see the Vita going where it is, but
We do have the Vita 2.0 from Nintendo,
oh, you're not wrong.
and there's
It's
a
very
rumor,
versatile.
There's a rumor on the block.
That it is gonna get a brother. Nintendo's making a baby. So right now they're talking about having a revision coming in 2019. Don't know. There was no solid date or honestly season given.
Okay.
A lot of people are thinking either late summer, possibly into the fall era. We know that they make a lot of their money during those October, November, December range.
So they want to release
So they want to
before
make
that.
sure they release it right
Yep.
before, so that way people buy it there, have a jump, and then have all their sales going on.
What I find very intriguing here is that there's a rumor that it's going to be revised. There's no consistent rumor on
They're talking
what
about
that
thinner,
revision will be.
more
See, that
portable.
was going to be my next question. What's going to be new and
Yeah.
Well, people are wanting more battery life, thinner, and use it like a handheld. And if you want both, you can go with the one option that we have. As far as I know, they're not getting rid of that option.
No, I don't
Yeah.
think so.
They're just giving you the slimmer, more handheld version, which they probably won't have removable Joy-Cons and stuff like that. And it's supposed to be thinner, LCD screen possibly better battery life, so on and so forth.
I think an OLED would probably do them really good if they did.
Battery life.
The battery life would go through the roof, and your image quality would get so much better. Your daylight performance would get so much better. So an OLED screen would definitely be the way to go.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I still have my OLED Vita.
Oh my God.
How's
There was
your
a
Vita?
handheld that already did this. It's the original Vita.
Yeah, this is exactly what the Vita
It
is.
literally was.
Honestly, they had to do was make a Vita 2 with the technology that wasn't used. Give us R2D2 or R2L2. Oh my God,
R2D2.
that was bad.
Please, Sony, give us R2D2.
But yeah, the Vita was there and they had it and they just totally blew it. And then all of a sudden Nintendo comes in and goes, "It's a shinier Vita." I mean, Switch.
Yeah. We'll
Whatever.
see. We'll see. It'll be really interesting to see, considering their sales are really, really high right now.
32 million.
Yeah, but the end of December. So right now the estimate for Xbox One is 42, like lifetime. So they are catching up quick. Sony's just broke 94 million. So I mean, both of them are fairly strong right now.
But they also
I hope you're not talking
tied
about-
this year almost
Almost
in
PlayStation.
total sales for the year.
PlayStation had 500,000 more in sales.
Yeah.
So
Which is still impressive to see how hard they're hitting the ground.
5 years later.
I mean, they're projecting to hit above PS2 levels, which is going to be impressive.
Oh my God, if they could do that.
But I mean, from right now, it looks like, I mean, Nintendo Switch might actually be able to do that as well. I
Yeah.
mean, and if they bring out this next version, which is comparable in price, they'll probably be able to get it.
I was gonna say, just from a profit standpoint, it sounds like Nintendo's kind of winning out on this game at this point.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Just wait.
I mean, because I mean, the price of the price of this the Vita or sorry the Switch versus the PlayStation 4 is, I mean, astronomically different from what I
It
understand.
used to, so when they first launched, yes. Now, arguably, you're paying roughly the same price. You could theoretically get a PlayStation for a little bit cheaper if you're going used.
Oh, yeah,
But
okay.
they're basically the same price at this point.
Okay.
The difference being that we're coming up on year 6 of PlayStation. This will be year 3 of Switch.
I mean,
So,
I wouldn't buy anything less than a PS4 at this point, just for VR standalone.
Yeah.
yeah.
But
So-
that's still points towards
Oh,
my idea that their
100%.
revenue is probably through the roof.
They banked on going cheap and interesting,
Yep.
and it is really showing. Which is why I think this next topic is fascinating to me. The first official Nintendo store is going to be opening in Japan, so they're pulling once again more
Really?
plays out of Apple's playbook and putting it in their own. They're going to open up a store that is dedicated to coming in, playing various games. They're also going to have all their merchandise from various properties like Pokemon and Mario. I don't quite
You're
know.
telling me there's not one other store that does that
So
that is Nintendo owned.
no, not so. Technically, there is the Pokemart, or the Pokemon. I don't know. There's Pokemon Center in Japan.
Yeah, that makes
There's
sense.
a Pokemon Center in Japan, and it is the same thing for Pokemon only, but Nintendo only owns 50% of Pokemon. The other 50%
Game
is
Freak.
owned by Game Freak.
Yep.
So this will be the first official Nintendo only store. Pokemon, of course, will be in there, but everything else will as well. And I just found this very interesting because we're in 2019. We're seeing GameStop struggling. We're seeing other retailers kind of pulling away from being there in a physical presence, and Nintendo is deciding, you know what? Let's put ourselves out there.
Let's go first party. Let's do this. Yeah.
So it was a very different approach to what I was expecting.
Everything comes in waves. So, I mean, like right now, yeah, GameStop's probably hurting, but there might be something that comes along the line that really, boosts it and they find a way to really get back into the market.
I mean, it very well could have been Reggie Fils-Aimé's dream this entire time.
Yeah. I don't know who that is. So you're
Speaking
gonna
of
have to remind me.
dreams, the Dreams beta has been dropped, and the NDAs have been released, essentially. So the beta started in the beginning of January. However, people weren't allowed to talk about what they were creating. And basically everyone was just like, screw it, I don't care. Like, rescind my beta. This stuff is amazing. And so Sony and I almost said Quantic Dreams, but that's not who they are. Media Molecule have decided to just pull it and let everyone reveal. And so there's nothing really newsworthy here other than I wanted to let everyone here know that you need to go onto YouTube, where you are now with us after the show's over, and go just literally search Dreams Beta, because people are recreating the PT in there. They're recreating Dead Space, the original Dead Space being completely recreated in there. A lot of these different creations are coming from people who are just putting their heads down, and I'm amazed at what we can see already.
Interesting.
It's pretty impressive.
And this is just beta. Like, this is not the real deal. A lot of stuff is people just kind of playing with mechanics and trying to figure it out. But I have...
The sound that they had on the PT demo was impressive.
Yeah. I have this crazy theory, and it doesn't make any sense. It would never work. But in my head, in order to recoup the cost for Dreams, because Dreams has been in works for now 6 years easily.
Oh, easily.
If not longer.
I think since 2012.
They're going to take this and make it an actual engine for PS5 for small time developers. Like,
really?
Hey, you can utilize this to make games and publish it in our store.
Like a small little Unity that's made for it. That's crazy.
Made explicitly for PlayStation. That's my theory.
That's amazing.
So, regardless, share your own theories if you have them down above in the comments.
Yeah. Down in the comments below.
Down in the description. Above in the comments. Thank you. Moving on to the last story of the day. I have some statistics about Xbox Game Pass, and if I was a little bit more prepared, they'd be up already, but I will vamp until then.
I would do it for you because I'm a good person.
That dog's also on our end, by the way.
Yep.
That dog is on our end. Don't be afraid. Don't turn around. It's not behind you.
It's tiny.
It's behind you.
So Microsoft released a few of these statistics, including there are over 538 backwards compatible titles currently on Xbox Game Pass. Over 2,000 games from the 360 were released. So it's about 25% of their entire platform. So, which is pretty astounding. However, for Xbox Original, it's a much smaller. I believe it's only 32 total.
3%.
And so it's 33 total, equates to about 3% of the original library. But I found this very interesting because they are continuing to consistently push updates to this platform. Every week they're announcing something new. And whenever there's a big thing coming around, they get really excited and ramp up to seriously, like Red Dead 2 came out, so they made a huge deal about Red Dead 1 being on there. So all of this is fascinating, and it leads into our topic of the show this week, which is that Nintendo, that Xbox is putting Xbox Live on iOS, Android, and Switch.
Yep.
We don't have a definitive timeline. We don't have any more details than that. But I wanted to discuss this because this is huge in so many ways.
Do we need to close up this aforementioned section?
This is technically a cross between Tots and the important shit. But we can end the important shit. Oh, man, we're so good, guys. We're so good. So, anyways.
Figure we might as well just make a little time
I'm
cut
with you
because we're
100%.
like right under it. I'm like, that's weird.
So, once again, Microsoft has announced that they're bringing Xbox Live. Xbox Live, to kind of define what it is, thank you, sir, is their online platform. That means your account, your achievements, your avatar, which they've recently revamped, and any games that you own are tied to that, which would make us assume that their storefront is coming with this.
Yeah. I mean, if they did, they'd be almost silly not to, because they're obviously wanting to put more into the software.
Yep.
They make more off the software currently than they are the hardware, and they're probably actually enjoying that aspect of it. And if they can get Game Pass on there, that is a game ender. I mean, literally reaching we just for Switch alone, 32 million.
Yeah. I mean, and cell phone users, we're talking in the billions.
Yeah.
Like, legitimately, if you're running on any decent enough modern hardware, which most 75% of the market, right? Roughly here in the US.
What was the statistic? Was 50%.
Yeah. So
right around 50%, I think, is of the population owns a cell phone, like a smartphone specifically.
yeah. See, that's just astronomical to me. And they're obviously moving away from a actual platform. So they've already announced Project Scarlet, which is their streaming service they're working on. They're trying to compete, I guess, be more upfront about where they're heading. We've already seen Project Steam, which we have talked about and how we're very excited about it.
Project Stream.
I keep doing that.
It's because Steam is really heavily involved in this.
You're not wrong. So with all of this on the table, like, where does that put Microsoft? Where does that put everybody else? Because Nintendo's obviously playing ball here.
Yep.
They don't care, which I don't blame them.
They get a piece of the pie. Why
It's
would
going
they?
to sell Switches like crazy.
Yeah.
I see this going up in a puff of smoke.
Really?
So here's the deal.
Wow.
As it stands, this has always been available on Windows.
Okay. Yes, you are correct.
Have Microsoft sales particularly gone up because of it? Minutely. I feel like because they don't have the game base that you still see with Sony and Nintendo for first-party games specifically, they just don't have the content that they're there to support it. I don't think that it's necessarily going to matter that it's available on iOS, Android, and Switch.
Wow.
I mean, they are getting
think it's
developers. I think they're prepping themselves to be able to for that market.
Well, that's fine. That you're introducing yourself into other hardware markets, but you've already done that once with, the biggest one you have available to you because your parent company literally owns, I think, the majority of users' computers across the globe.
Yeah, but can a majority of those computers really handle everything that game needs?
I mean, compared to what the Xbox One hardware is, it's relatively minimal anyway.
Well, I'm not being facetious. I really don't know specs.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's relatively simple to run, an Xbox One game. Don't get me wrong, the graphics are still, the fidelity of the graphics is still relatively high anyway for things you want to play like Halo or Call of Duty, anything like that. But I don't think they're, well, even then, actually, I'm kind of curious how that's going to work with iOS, Android, and Switch, because the graphic hardware on that is not, on any of those is not very scalable, I guess.
So again, I think this would all tie into Scarlet, in which you're streaming the game. You're going to have
Yeah.
to. You're not going to be able to bring that game over and download it on your local.
And to be honest, that's more probably along the lines of like an Apple TV. Like, you have a phone, a tablet, a laptop. Why have an Apple TV? It's the same concept. So they're just giving us the Apple TV version.
Well, that's why the NVIDIA Shield didn't take off.
Yeah.
I mean, the Shield was literally your ability to play your PC games from your from your television in your living room.
But wasn't it so janked up the way you had to connect to it, and it would work sometimes and not work?
That was the
there was
Steam one, wasn't it?
when both of them kind of
Both
flopped.
of them?
Both
Okay.
of them kind of flopped because of it. Yeah.
So I mean, that was more of like a functionality issue than it was a concept issue.
Like, it wasn't implemented very well. It was a very good concept, but it wasn't implemented very well. Streaming ultimately seemed to become a better state for some reason because they can control what the server end does whenever it sends the video, because your computer can't really be controlled in that way. Like, they can only do like baked in software to say, we can hope this works on your computer, but it's going to be a weird use case kind of thing.
See, I feel like I agree with you only in the stance that I think the elephant in the room is not being talked about, and that's Google comes in and just destroys his crap. Like, just comes in and is able to
100%.
stream everything, do everything with the simplest of computers. You don't need anything else, including the stream box. It's there. You can do it on whatever you want.
I don't disagree, but I do think there's there's really one thing that counters both of your points, or at least approaches them. You're talking about how they had an issue with moving to the Windows platform, which they did relatively shortly after they had Xbox One. The major factor here is they did not have Game Pass at the time. They do now.
Okay.
And I do think that is going to really be a big selling point when we're talking about being on your phone and being on Switch.
Okay.
Because for me, personally, like, I have moved away from Xbox for quite some time. They do have a few exclusives that look interesting, but
Yeah.
overall, that's not really the place I play. But if I have a Switch at home. If I could pay $10 a month to be backwards compatible with all of these games, over 500 360 titles plus every Xbox One title going forward since the inception. I mean, that's Forza every year. That's every Halo that comes out. That's any game that I have any inkling of an interest in. My investment is $10 a month. That's $120 a year.
Yep.
That is the Netflix of games in my hand.
Right.
Like that
Xbox
alone.
and a Switch is a console inception.
Wah.
No, I agree with you in that. Yeah, I mean, they're definitely going to sell more from it. I guess maybe this is them kind of throwing in. I don't want to say throwing in the towel.
No, they are. I agree.
Really?
I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
This is the end of them creating consoles.
Saying that hardware is just not in our
Yeah.
game. Obviously, we're not doing it right. So let's stick with games, stick with the hardware, or stick
Absolutely.
with software. And keep running that
That's
play
why
out.
I feel like this box thing is just a last. It's like, hey, if you don't have any of this stuff, we have your recourse.
Yeah.
It's cool, and we have developers making games. It's coming. Know this. They bought out Ninja Theory. Huge.
Yeah. Oh
I
my
mean-
God. They bought 6 developers in
was 6?
2018, and then I think they're maybe it was 10. It was quite a bit.
Oh. Yeah,
Um,
it was a good number.
Yep.
They announced 4D3 and they announced 2 or 3 more afterwards. So it might be 7.
All right.
What I find fascinating about this, though, is I
know,
agree.
I want to.
They've announced that they're working on some form of hardware. We already know that, but I definitely believe that hardware is now a streaming box. Like there's a capability maybe for like here's a little bit of like graphics capability and all that, like processing on our own. You
Right,
could download a game and play it.
We don't have to necessarily try to go with the biggest, the lowest price point for the best hardware, that kind of
Exactly.
thing that you can keep inside your home, kind of thing. Versus, we just need to give you a base computer that costs $100, $200.
Yep.
I love the Spectrum.
We could put it on a Raspberry Pi and,
Yep.
you wouldn't know any different. Like,
It's like they have we want you to be the home entertainment like system. It's like, no, that's not what we want to know. Fine, we'll just be a little box on your shelf. How's that?
Yep.
Like,
and you still get all the performance of the big one.
Everything you want. What is interesting to me too is that by giving this away, the argument that has been talked about a lot, and we've even brought it up here about streaming services, is the middle of America. And not just the middle of America, but that's like the closest analog we have, which is rural area, low internet, high latency.
Yeah.
How do you counter that? And I think their answer is mobile. Like just use your mobile phone. You connect an Xbox controller, Bluetooth, and you're good. You can stream that from your phone directly to the TV. Like
yeah.
Well, assuming but that still assumes your cellular connection is there to support it.
fair enough. Fair enough.
To back the fact up that your home internet connection cannot support it.
Yeah. I honestly don't think they're going to care.
No.
Like not to be calloused in any form. I don't think this is going to be a direct like
Yeah.
FU to the middle people who don't have the
But there's
internet.
nothing they can do about it, so they're not going
Exactly.
to worry about it.
I
Okay,
think-
no, that's fair. I give you that.
It's much like, everything
have it-
else we have. You build up the technology by selling it where it sells,
Right.
and that helps raise it so that it's cheaper elsewhere so you can expand it out.
Okay.
And we know they have those Azure farms for the server farms.
Yep.
So they have that kind of infrastructure fairly well built out that could utilize that further.
A lot of the people that live in those areas that won't have a good internet connection don't care about stuff like that to begin with. I tend to find that they don't tend to worry about those things
Well, and I imagine they're going to aim for something
because
like
they can't.
But that's the thing. By the token of they can't, it's because the opportunity's never been presented to them.
Yeah.
So if the opportunity is, let's say, because I mean, again, 50%. I want to say it was greater than 50% because I think 50% was a different statistic from 2 weeks ago. But anyway, the idea is if you have the majority of America, let's say
It
that
was
greater
35% that didn't have internet.
didn't have internet. That's
Okay.
what it was. Okay. But the majority of America has mobile phones with some sort of internet capability on it. It's going to open the door for them. And the idea is, as long as that door is open, there are still going to be more people willing to jump onto the ship and just see what it's like.
Well, and 5G is supposed to fix a lot of that stuff. There's talk about them just putting up telephone poles with like receivers on them, and it's just going to blast out internet everywhere.
Yeah, actually, so that's supposed to be one of the new pro plays for that is to,
And they were talking about neighborhoods
just
putting up
mount these
towers,
things on
and
top
it
of
just
poles.
blasts out.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
like the idea is because they already like mastered basically this wireless tech for you to be able to handle large cell towers anyway that cover
Yeah.
large radiuses, but they're expensive to build and everything like that. Versus if they can put literally 10 times the amount of these little tiny transmitters on top of telephone poles in strategic locations, it's actually cheaper. because
Interesting.
they cost less to run from a power
I
perspective.
can see
They're
that.
on the power pole, so that they have a direct power connection.
Yeah.
You don't have to have your own backups and all kinds of other weird crap. But it's actually supposed to be.
You can't
Pretty
run.
Yeah, you're not wrong there.
You can't
And
hide.
no, they were like, "Oh, we're gonna need land in these neighborhoods to be able to do this," and I'm like, "Good luck with that."
Yeah.
I do find this like incredibly intriguing because it does signal to me we're done with hardware.
Mhm.
Here's a little stream box.
Yep.
I was pitching to John earlier. There may be an Xbox One X similar. Like we're like, hey, we're gonna give you the nice, sleek, shiny thing that you can download these games onto. If you choose, it's $600. Like that's going to be for the people who really want to spend the money, who want that direct connection.
Yep.
All that, but it's literally going to be like a collector's edition or extremist edition. It won't be for the average consumer.
I mean, why wouldn't you just keep with the Xbox X then? Xbox. Why wouldn't you stick with the Xbox?
The theory here would be that whatever games are coming in the future, the Xbox One X will not be able to run.
See, I have a hard time with that because
Whatever the next generation
'cause-
is, the Xbox One X won't be able to run. Neither will PlayStation 4 or Pro.
So
Like that's the
see,
whole point of a jump.
I think
the-
that they just want you to believe that.
Okay.
Well, so my thing is, because this is the way that console hardware works, is PS5's in planning right now, and they're working on the hardware for it. But the problem is, as soon as they've already done the hardware provisions and things like that, 2-3 years in advance, already out of date.
Yeah.
So the problem is that you're already running on hardware that's old, versus if they can do a mass provisioning of condensed server hardware, which is actually pretty easy to come by, especially if you can do graphics cards or work on graphics chips anyway in an integrated platform on a mass scale like that. That's really easy if they're all shipping to one location. You don't have to put them in a nice, pretty box and spend all the time with manufacturing and boxes and shipping and all kinds of other stuff. You put them in your data centers and you tell, hey, by the way, there's a new hardware update for all this stuff, but you don't have to do anything. You don't even really know it's there, other than maybe a patch update that says new hardware installed. Like that's really it.
Yeah.
So running better games on better hardware is an easier thing for them to do from a streaming perspective, because it's easy for them to just purchase it in bulk, install it once, test it, and then deploy it, and it's done.
100%. I agree with that. I'm just saying at the current level, Sony hasn't really said. They said next generation. They're not saying next console. They're not saying.
Next generation's the next console.
Yeah.
There's no parsing of words.
Are you sure there's gonna be a console? I mean,
No, well, whatever
they change speed.
Whatever the evolution is here, it won't be running on your PS4 the same way that games run on your PS4 now. Again, with a streaming service, sure, the Xbox One X could theoretically run whatever games are coming if you're straight streaming it. But my perspective here is you're getting a piece of hardware similar to the specs, like that upgraded level, that doesn't have to stream it. Like that would be the point of it.
Yeah. We'll find out. I'll be really interested to see what they come out with. I hope they have those separated controllers.
And what's so cool is that we now have 3 platform holders, which theoretically are heading in different directions. Like
Yeah.
Nintendo's keeping at their own thing. Microsoft is seemingly heading in the all digital future. Join
Selling
the ride or
themselves
hop
out like a
off.
village doorknob.
Not necessarily.
They just like give it out to everyone. Except for Sony.
I think they're smart in the sense of like, hey, we want it to be available everywhere. Nobody else is making handhelds now. I guarantee you, if the Vita was around, they'd probably try and work some sort of deal.
Well, my
or
question,
Vita 2 or whatever it is.
I mean, outside of the Game Pass, why would you buy developers to make other
to
games?
boost your heart.
Just to boost that?
Yeah, you want to boost your value. So
Or instead of just making a marketplace for you to be able to access those things.
Well,
like
So purchasing those developers makes them first party, which means they get exclusives.
Which is cool.
They get development.
need.
They get
Yeah.
development backing. From literally the parent company or the major company that they're developing these games for, that kind of thing. Plus, of course, Microsoft gets to say, "Oh, these are exclusives on this platform," that kind of thing. Which, if they're going for a full software play and a streaming play, makes more sense.
super smart.
Yeah, exactly. Because
It's intrinsic value.
right, exactly.
It's the same reason why PlayStation's more valuable right now is because the developers that create exclusives for PlayStation are just creating better games.
I feel like they would be better as a marketplace.
They'll still have that.
Right.
Like it's not. I don't think it's one or the other here. I think Game Pass is one of the options. You can also go to
Okay.
Xbox
Game
Live.
Pass-
So you're saying that with Xbox Live, it's not just for the
No,
introduction
yeah.
to Games Pass. Like I think that most of their money is going to be coming in from the marketplace, from you be able to get all sorts of other games that are compatible with that system.
Game Pass
think so.
becomes the marketplace, and the streaming service becomes the platform.
Yeah.
That, like, instead of having the hardware console that you have to play on and then the software marketplace that comes with it, basically, you've got the two of them that live together in a similar sense. The difference is you're just eliminating the expensive hardware you have to purchase.
Yeah.
So their developers they bought raised the value of Game Pass.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now we have exclusives that are coming to the streaming service. You don't have to spend $60 to buy them. You can get them on here for your $10 a month. And then they'll still have the capability of purchasing games because not everyone's going to play nice and put their games on Game Pass day one.
So I guess what I'm saying is like if they're going to try to sell you a game through Xbox Live and it's not, I guess it's technically can be made for the Xbox One X or whatever, so it would also be available there. If it wasn't made for the Xbox, would they still be able to sell that for that console, say like for the Switch through that marketplace?
I don't think so.
I mean, I feel like Nintendo would have an issue with that, but with other devices, would it be the same?
It's going to be just like the issue you have on issues, a weird way to phrase it, but it's just going to be like PCs right now, where you have the Epic Store, you have Steam, you have Origin. Like it's going to be that same sort of platform.
So I guess what I'm saying is like, what's their pie, like piece of the pie is going to be at that point?
It's Game Pass, 100%.
But then that means that's the only thing they have. They're not actually being used as a marketplace.
That's fine. They'll still make up a lot of money.
I feel like they're losing out way more money.
Well, so the other piece of that is the
because
streaming
they still don't have
service
enough
itself.
exclusives to build it.
So the stream
that's the whole point of purchasing the people.
I know that, but like even with those developers, even if they all put out a game right now, would that make Game Pass?
You're talking about people who have a Switch who can't play Red Dead Redemption, like who can't play Titanfall. They can't play those games on that handheld. So if you give them Game Pass on the Switch
with a streaming service to give them the
they'll
graphics
pay
that they're looking
$10
for,
a month, no problem.
Yeah.
Like that. That's one of the reasons I don't think they're even going to bother trying
on an OLED screen with the next generation.
Yeah, oh my god, that's one of the reasons why they're not even bothering going to Sony. Granted, Sony would say no.
Yeah.
But
well, Sony probably already did say no.
Yeah, the value is added to the fact that your phone can't play Halo, your phone can't play Titanfall, but they can play it for you, and you can play it streaming through your device.
And also, I was just kind of running through some numbers in my head here. If Game Pass is $10 a month, and let's just say the streaming service itself becomes another $15 or $20 that you tack on there, you're still looking at $250 to $300 a year per subscriber.
Yeah,
for Game Pass and the console, which is kind of where the majority of their price point is, as it stands anyway, is the console. But the console is supposed to last you for years, you know, is the idea. So that realistically, they're actually going to make more money off of this, making it seem more affordable to you because it's on a monthly basis.
I don't think they'll get away with the price jump until they really put something on there that's going to make sense. At least a few things.
I think it'll be really interesting to see, because if they come out saying we're not doing a console, it's all going to be streaming, it'll be bundled services. It'll be, you've got Xbox Gold, you've got Xbox Platinum, which has the streaming service bundled into it. You can buy Games Pass by itself. Like there'll be multiple tiers, and some like it's paying. Quite frankly, you pay $100 or let's say $200 a year for all of that.
Yeah,
you're saving money.
Oh yeah,
you're saving buku bucks, whether you realize it or not.
Like different levels would be like, oh, platinum, you get to play this, 3 days before everyone else.
Well, and if they're pulling it, like it's not a one-time fee. This isn't Amazon Prime. This is Netflix. So you're paying $200 a year, broken apart 12 months. You're barely going to notice that leaving your paycheck.
Now, this is also going to suck from a like a release night perspective of the people who usually delay to purchase a game on release night because it's too expensive or they don't want to wait in line and all that stuff. Suddenly that goes away, which means servers get more crowded on release nights, which is something they have to account for. But it causes a new good set of problems for them. I think.
I agree.
I still almost think this is going to go up in smoke if the developers don't play out the way that they think this will.
Yeah.
Based on the way that we're talking here.
Yeah.
If the developers don't come out with some decent first party titles that really rock the boat.
Yeah.
I still think this goes up in smoke.
I love this so much. This is amazing. This is great. I love it when we differ in opinions. It makes it more fun for me.
Yeah. I'm on the fence between both of you. So
I'm very intrigued to see what happens, especially because I am still convinced that PS5 or whatever version of that hardware it is
2019
is going to be 2020, doubling down on VR headset.
Because somebody's got to do it, I guess,
And so because of that, I truly think that we're going to have 3 different platform holders going in 3 different directions. And I cannot wait to see what the future of this industry is.
Absolutely. This is definitely going in a good direction. And we have newcomers on the scene as well.
I don't know if it's necessarily going to be a good direction. It's going to be a very wild
Oh,
wrong.
Well-
it'll go back to being the Wild West of gaming, where
consoles and
I like
gaming
it more than
marketplaces.
like PS3, Xbox 360 era. I love the games and I had a good time, but like the industry itself was so Team Xbox, Team PlayStation, because they're so samey. All it does is create conflict between the two, and the same has happened with PS4 and Xbox One.
Yep.
Whereas now it's literally like, where do you land? Well, this one has so many different merits. Do you have the internet? Like, does this work for you? Like, it just creates so much complication and gray.
Yeah.
I love it. Love it so much.
Believe it or not, I think this is actually going to be really different.
I'm very excited for it. But I believe that is all we have to say on the topic. Please feel free in the right-hand corner over here in the comment section.
Down below.
Go ahead and tell
Down
us
below.
what you think about a streaming service coming to your Switch or phone for Xbox. Would you consider purchasing in? Do any of these things sound interesting to you? Or do you say, forget you, Xbone, we out?
also hit us up on Twitter. We definitely want to jump in the discussion on it.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Our handles are.
I was gonna say you'll get a lot of individual responses from us, and you'll see this argument happen all over again on Twitter.
One thing I'm going to say, though, is based on their past control of their last properties, though, I'm not looking forward to what they're coming out with. And I hope to God they don't kill Ninja Theory, because I will be so freaking upset. It wouldn't even be funny, because they killed Rare.
Yeah, absolutely.
Why? Why would you do that? They were talented. They had a future.
I appreciate you so much right now.
What?
Because you censored yourself.
I know.
I don't think you understand how much of a pain it was to edit last week's episode.
I've censored myself 3 times this episode.
I know. I appreciate
How bad
you.
But
was it?
now it's time for last call.
Last call.
You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. This time around, we have a couple of shout outs, and somebody wanted to talk about our friend Xphobia.
Oh yeah.
Who was it?
So
I don't know this time.
it was me. I was on watching Xphobia anyway, on a stream anyway, and he was really having a good night. He was just having some fun anyway with a couple of friends, playing competitively with Realm Royale. He was doing that kind of thing.
He kills it on that game.
He does. I mean, he's really good. You really need to check him out. Twitch.tv/Xphobia with 2 A's at the end.
And he's not
I'll
a
put
dick all
put
the
the link down
time.
in the description. But the big milestone for him anyway. So he's got subscribers turned on and subscriptions turned on and all that stuff. So a bunch of us have subscribed, of course. He had 42 active watchers at one particular time. That one
That's
night we
awesome.
were on last week, whenever I put all this on while I was editing the video. Last Tuesday.
Yeah, that chat was blowing up.
Yeah, his chat was blowing up. I mean, people were on there, like, they were sticking around. They were really having a conversation, because he's always very vocal and likes to have a conversation with his audience, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
He crossed 50 subscribers.
God, that's so good.
Man, that's
That's so good.
Two anonymous donations of
Yeah.
5 each.
God, that's so good.
5 subscriptions each.
man. Some of them actually like him.
Like so like he's really getting a lot of retention now. So Xphobia, we really wanted to give you a shout out. Congrats,
Cheers.
man. I know you were getting a little watery eyed, whenever you were seeing all the subs roll in and seeing the viewers stick around, and we're happy to have you, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're glad to have you a part of Strange Gaming Network.
Yes, please. Again, it'll be in the description, which is located somewhere on the left,
below.
where you can find his channel. I wanted to shout out the fact that the Humble Bundle, which I've talked about numerous times on the show, is doing a PlayStation-centric bundle right now for $15. You can get a handful of games that equates to, I think, 13 games total.
man.
Their PlayStation blog is a place to find it. There should be a link in the description as well. Worst case scenario, you literally Google Humble Bundle, PlayStation Bundle. Yeah, there's some cool stuff in there for sure, including Killing Floor 2 and a couple of others that I actually grabbed myself for super cheap.
Does
I
the
thought they
4K
just killed that games on the server. Those game servers. Killing Floor 2.
I don't know.
No, that was Drawing to Death. Never mind.
killed?
Same thing.
Yeah.
And also, we have, of course, the last call question of the week, which is, what franchise or product that you used to absolutely adore and love do you just not like anymore?
Oh, I'll take this one. Halo.
That wrapped in really nicely with our conversation.
Yeah, I'm sorry to say, but like in that conversation really just sparked my memory. Like right off the bat, I was like, man, I'm so disappointed in you. You could have been so much better. Like the storyline is crap. What is wrong with you? The gameplay, I'm pretty sure I've gone back to the anniversary edition of Halo and had more fun than I did with
Bungie
the newer
versus
ones.
343.
Yeah,
That's the difference.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
the difference.
I enjoyed Reach because it was fun.
Yeah.
But I mean, at the same time, like that was the last time I had fun.
That was Bungie.
Yeah.
That was
That was the last Bungie. Yeah.
yeah. Okay, well then that makes so much more
Yeah.
sense.
That was the last Bungie game. Yeah.
Come back. Cortana, man.
I mean, I could
shit.
almost stick along the same lines and just go with Xbox. I mean, okay, so I didn't play the original Xbox. I didn't really, because nobody
OG.
really, enjoyed the OG apparently. You know, but it still came out.
I
And made
did.
these amount of
Splinter
money.
Cell was great.
The 360 though blew my mind away with, like, because I went from the PS2 to the Xbox 360, that kind of thing. And when I asked people about the PS3, it was like, well, it's okay, kind of thing, because it was right after it released. That new generation had just come out. The 360 took it off, and then the Xbox One came out, and literally the only reason I wanted it was for Halo 5. That was literally the only reason. And, of course, there's this guy over here, talking about how crappy it is. I'll probably agree with you. It's really not. 343 is not Bungie.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys, you're not. Bungie really.
The worst part is
Blew it
my
out of
boy
water.
Nathan. I almost said Nick. Nathan Fillion was in that game. I
You know
should
another
love that
he-
game.
You know another game he was in? Destiny.
God. And you know what's funny is he wasn't bad in that game. I enjoyed his commentary in Destiny 2
Yeah.
when I played it. So
I actually had an answer that I totally forgot.
yeah.
So thinking back on it, I don't necessarily have a hate relationship. Like I don't. It's reading. Like as an adult, I have a very tough time reading, and I love reading.
Could we actually read all day? We just don't think about it.
I know, and I work at a computer where I surf the web. I update a lot of news topics.
He does everything but work.
I do a lot.
I actually don't really work here. I just look pretty.
But it is hard for me to sit down and actually have the mental fortitude to sit down and crack a book.
Yeah.
But when I do, it is more fulfilling than almost any other game I play.
It's like jumping in a pool.
Yeah, it is so refreshing. It feels so good. But it is so hard for me to go, just read the book. Just read it. Just do it.
Yep.
I've been actually jumping
Just
in the
do
pool
it.
per se a lot more recently.
You gonna ever finish that Norse mythology book?
Not that way.
Oh, good. Thanks. Yeah. Never get that book back.
But like getting away from the podcast and like sticking to music for a little bit while I could be still productive and trying to get a lot of my life back.
just
I've
doesn't get
actually been getting more to the point where I do want to read now. Like getting away from, and same thing with I'm about to delete Facebook. Not for any other reason. I'm going to keep Messenger just because for some reason you like using it.
Super easy to contact you.
So is Marco Polo and text messages and emails and
it's a lot
all
easier
the
to
other
keep
things I have
everybody
to look
together.
at my phone for.
And I can, we won't talk. We'll talk about that one off.
But it's nice not to have that time sink. So
Yeah.
that way when I'm on the pooper, I can actually do work
There you go.
or call you, stuff like that.
Yeah, the normal
Our little,
stuff.
a little intimate time.
Yeah.
I've actually debated about going to Audible and getting a subscription because I'm falling off a lot of my podcasts, leaving for like the honeymoon and then coming back into everything. I've realized so much of how I don't care about a lot. Like I care.
Neat.
I
Okay.
liked it,
You
but
made a
lot
behavior.
But it was so much of it is just, you know what? I actually don't need this. I can fill this time with something else. And I think Audible is something I will probably invest in just so I can do that.
So I don't know if I can gift these or not. The problem is I bought an Audible subscription at one point because we were going on a long trip to Mississippi for my sister's wedding. So I was like, well, I'm just going to be in the car with my mom for 10 hours. Well, let me get a couple audiobooks for some books I've been wanting to read, that kind of thing. We just listen to them all the way down. It's like, yeah, that sounds like a great idea.
Thank you, sir.
So I paid for the subscription, and I had like 2 free tokens that racked up because you get a free one every month, that kind of thing. The problem is if you end the subscription, which is what I want to do, you lose all those tokens.
Yeah.
But the problem is I can't decide on what book I want, so I don't want to cancel the subscription yet. So I've racked up to 6 now, and I don't know what to do.
We could talk off air.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've got some suggestions.
Okay.
But yes, so let us know if there's anything that you have fallen out of love with.
There's actually one thing I do want to come back with the PS Vita stuff and the PS3 stuff. If you have already been a subscriber, any games that you've previously downloaded are good.
Yes.
You're not going to lose them unless you drop your subscription,
Correct.
at which point they are gone and they'll probably never try to give it back to you
Well,
again.
and what is good about PlayStation Plus is you typically have a month.
Yeah.
Like it's not immediate if
It's a
you
grace
lapse,
period.
you've got a little bit of time. So I've heard stories upwards of 3 months. Don't take that
Don't-
as fact.
Yeah.
Wow.
If you
So,
realize
yeah,
it, do it immediately.
They're fairly nice because that's a large library of games to lose.
Okay.
Yeah.
But anyways, again, let us know in the comments above what.
Final point. Sorry, before you close out.
My God, people.
Shout out to us.
Oh yeah,
The set. Look at this. Look how gorgeous
It's not
this
done
is.
yet.
No, there's still more to be done.
but you'll notice over the course of the next couple weeks small changes,
Also,
or large changes.
Do we reveal this week?
No.
No, you want
Here's
to
the
hold off
funny
until we're done?
I don't even
done?
know
Yeah,
what you're
yeah.
talking about.
Okay, all right.
I say we wait.
Okay, all right.
Don't blow your load early.
Or don't blow
It's
your
a
load
common
at all.
It's a common problem.
Oh my god.
Until next time. No.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Cheers.
this is what
Cheers.
this is for. Cheers.
Oh wow, it's tangier, slightly drier.
I agree. It's a
but
cleaner finish.
overall,
I can't tell if I like it more though.
Like blowing your load early.
This is sweeter.
This finishes off the tongue way like
Yeah.
this is super thick and desserty. Where this is more like after work, I'm gonna like this is like my chill time, summertime.
It's
shit,
super
right?
elegant. Like
My brain is.
blow your load.
I was my
You're still blowing
no,
it.
no,
Finishes
off the
literally
tongue.
everything you're
All over the
saying. Oh, it finishes off the tongue. It's so desserty and thick. It's so dry.
No, this really
It's got some serious legs.
Look at